it's our home and we don't know how it's going to go or if he's going to be able to do it. Every cloud has a silver lining.
Welcome back to the channel. We're Dan and Stephen, and in between jobs we travel the UK and beyond, living in our little 1996 VW Swift campervan, juggling the many challenges that go hand in hand with calling a van your home. But at its very best, it's a life that can offer a sense of freedom and adventure like never before. This week we leave our van behind for a few days as she goes in for some much needed repairs and explore more of Spain's rich history. So sit back, relax and come along dear.
Good afternoon. Right, so we finally left Granada in that little campsite / air, but not for very long because we've got to go back and get the repairs done. However, what we're going to do now, we've left for the weekend just because we wanted to see some of the places that we've kind of had to delay because of what's happened. So we're heading down towards Malaga, but specifically towards Torremolinos, and so we thought we'd check it out. We thought we've got to do it while we pass through. You know, we're not heavy going out people, but while we're there, it has to be done basically. So yeah, that's what we're gonna do. Get drunk.
We weren't too keen on driving with Daisy's injuries, but as it was just for one trip there and back, allowing us to see some of the places we might otherwise have to skip, we figured it was probably okay. So we headed to Torremolinos and found a park up that cost a mere €2 for the night, right by the sea. It was also my birthday that weekend and we decided to ease off on the filming, but we had a great couple of days, suffered for it a little in the morning, but found the perfect cure by heading to the beach and taking a swim. It was a good 30-minute walk into town from where we were, but for €2 a night with a beach on your doorstep, we really couldn't complain.
Really nice in the end. That water was warmer than when we were further around the coast in, what was that place called? It was near Aguilas, wasn't it? That was absolutely ice cold, even though it looked beautiful. That looked like it was going to be colder, but it was actually warmer. So maybe just because it's warmer down here anyway, the temperature. However, I got a bit scared because I kept thinking there were things swimming around me, and then I saw things moving and jumping, and I just got really rattled. So it made me just want to come out. But no, that's nice. That's much better than I was expecting, which is always good.
Feel better?
I do feel better. Ooh, yeah, I do. Right, here we are again. We're back in Granada. We haven't really filmed much the past day or two. It's been my birthday and we've kind of just enjoyed just the going down to Torremolinos, just having a little bit of a nice time. Went in the water, we did film some of that for you. Went out for some lunch. We did have a night out, but that was the previous night. And we actually had a quiet night last night, and do you know what? That was absolutely fine. We went out for a drink, decided we'd kind of already done that the night before, and just made our way back to the van. So it was really nice. We just didn't film too much of it. Sometimes you just got to have some down days, haven't you, basically? So here we are again. We've left Torremolinos this morning and we're now back in Granada, just on the outskirts in that little campsite / air. It's more of a campsite really. And tomorrow, hopefully we get Daisy repaired and we get all the fixes done. Now, you may have heard us say before, I'm hoping we said, I can't remember, but we do have to probably book into a hotel or something for 2 nights because the man said he wanted it for 2 days and to pick it up Wednesday. However, we're not actually going to do that until we've actually taken the van to the garage, because you just never know, you know, tomorrow he might just say, well actually I'll have it done by the end of the day, and then we've booked a hotel and it gets complicated. So we're kind of banking on the fact there'll be something available on the day. It's quite a big city, and seeing what he says. So yeah, that's where we're going. Just going to get some cash out to pay for the little campsite and collapse because it is absolutely sweltering. Our incredibly tidy cupboards where we keep mouthwash and plates and bowls and anything else we can squeeze in. Right, dinner is served.
What is it?
It's literally the leftovers of whatever was in the van, and I mean scraping the back of the fridge, because obviously the van's going in for repairs tomorrow, we hope. And we kind of thought if he is going to have it for 3 days like he said, we didn't really want to buy much food wise and put stuff in the fridge, so it was kind of a case of using stuff up for tonight. what we could find, and somehow we've actually managed to find stuff. I did have to buy a tin of tomatoes, but that was about it.
Sweet potato curry.
The sweet potato was lying in the back of that fridge for about a month, but it was fine. Is it good? You can tell me the truth when I turn the camera off. Are you ready?
I'm ready. Right, good luck, Days.
Right, you look after her, Sebastian. I don't know where Gizmo is. It's like if you had a kid, not that I have a kid, but like dropping them off at school for the first time, and it's just, I don't know, it's worse than that actually, because it's our home and we don't know how it's going to go or if he's going to be able to do it. There was the language barrier was a bit challenging here. We think it's all fine. Everything seems to have stuck to what was originally said, so we dropped it in today, Monday morning, and going to pick it up Wednesday. Got lights. Oh. Turn the lights on. So Daisy's had a bit of an upgrade. We now have a bath and shower with artwork on the side.
Telephone in the toilet.
Telephone in the toilet.
Mini bar.
Mini bar, yeah.
Mini bar.
A ward. I don't know what that is. I guess that's a wardrobe.
Is the mini bar complimentary?
Not quite a double bed. It's one of those squashed together things, but we'll ignore that. And yeah, well, not so worried about the view. So welcome to our van tour.
Yeah.
This is our van with the double bed, ensuite bathroom. Obviously, we wouldn't normally do this. This is a bit of a different one. We've come into a hotel, not by choice though. So because the van's gone in for repair for 2 days, we've had to book a hotel room for 2 nights. It might even be a third. We're not 100% sure yet. We're in a hotel, Steve.
Hi.
So there's that. Oh, I can have a nice shower. This hotel also has an indoor pool, which is just amazing. Like, this is just catnip now. So we're going to go and find that. Are we doing that now? It's a glass lift. Look at this. Yeah, so all in all, every cloud has a silver lining. I mean, we didn't expect this, and it wasn't a choice. But while Daisy's getting repaired, we had to stay somewhere. So it's quite nice that we've got somewhere with a little pool. So can't complain, and it's lovely. And we got it to ourselves. Someone else is not coming at all. You alright, Steve? So Steve's gonna have an interesting day here while I go adventuring. Yeah, so Steve's just not fancying it today. He's gonna have a bit of a prolonged nap, day in, night in today, which is fair enough. You know, we got a hotel room, it's good to enjoy it. But I'm gonna go out, I'm gonna go to Sacromonte. and I don't know if that's how you say it, but it's known as the Gypsy village, and it's got a big gypsy culture there with many different cultures from across Europe, Arabic, Jewish, Spanish, all sorts there. So I believe they moved there in the 18th century, don't quote me on that, and it's kind of existed ever since. So there's a bit of a thing here, and also there's lots of homes in caves there, and that's what it's kind of built upon. And flamenco, I think, possibly originated there. That might not be true. I hope we'll find that out today, but we'll see. Right, it's about a 43-minute walk. I'm not going to film myself walking across the city. I think you've probably seen quite a lot of it already. So, yeah, I'll see you in Sacromonte.
I came across this museum by accident and decided it was worth a look at just €5 a ticket. What it ended up giving was so much more than I expected. A complete history of the caves, the gypsies, or gitanos as they're known, who dwelled here, and the flamenco culture that was at the very heart of the community. It was around 500 years ago that a large group settled here, making homes in the rock that Spain's Arabs had already discovered was easy to carve into. A melting pot of excluded cultures made their lives here, escaping persecution in the city and beyond. From it came a blend of flamenco that drew on the tragedies, hardships and prejudice that people endured. It's a truly rich and complicated history, but one thoroughly worth delving into if you ever find yourself in Granada.
So far I'm not actually seeing any dates of what era this represents. Maybe that's coming up later, I don't know. But there's photographs in every cave, so presumably it's, fairly recent. And as I've said, it's a culture that's existed and sustained itself in this area, which is really rare for a lot, especially Europe. And it's really bright as well. I know you've got the door wide open, but because it's all white inside, and I think they use limestone to kind of coat it, it makes it really airy, like so much lighter than you'd think. So that was super interesting. That was much more informative than I could have ever hoped for, to be honest. Came here not knowing anything about these caves and not really expecting to come away with too much. I don't know, because I never knew it was there, but that museum covers absolutely everything. So for €5, if you're in Sacromonte, if that's how you say it, in Granada, it is well worth the money, because it will give you a full history of how they kind of came to be, and how the mix of different cultures became there and kind of blended together. And this kind of also goes into flamenco as well, and it gives you a big history of that and how flamenco was a big part of this area, and how that was kind of, a story of the gypsies and the different excluded races. And there's lots of tragedy involved in it, and lots of the songs and the music has that kind of tragic and sad kind of influence to it. So not something you maybe would necessarily think if you didn't know about it. But of course, you know, when it's about societies that are kind of excluded and kind of forced to hide away, it makes sense now. So yeah, another thing I was wondering, I wanted to find out was when, sorry I'm out of breath, I'm walking up a hill now, was when the caves kind of became abandoned, if they ever did. Well, they are sort of still in use, and they've been used into, modernised in some ways, and others have been kind of, the one we just saw was turned into a museum, so they still utilise the area. But in the 1960s, there was a great exodus basically from Sacromonte and its caves, and they were essentially forced out, I think, because of safety fears. They were told to leave. I think something may have happened, like a drought or a landslide or something like that. I'll put it down there, I did read it, I'm really sorry. And it kind of forced everybody out, but I don't think they had much choice. I think the authorities basically said they had to go. So it's very sad, and that's when it stopped being what it was. But in modern times, people have kind of flocked back there, and that same kind of culture has kind of been drawn back to the place. So not quite what it was, but it doesn't seem like it's died either, which is really lovely. And there's a whole section in the museum kind of explaining, or going into a lot of detail, all the different things that made up flamenco in this area. And it's so fascinating because it's too much to even say on here, and I wouldn't remember it all, but it is a melting pot of different things. It's complicated, but it's amazing, and I want to go to a flamenco show now. Anyway, now we're walking up to Sacromonte Abbey. I wasn't going to, but I realised it was around the corner, although it's up this steep hill. I think you have to pay to get in. I don't think it's too much. One thing, I wasn't sure if there were more caves, you know, the ones that exist that people still live in, that you could see. There were some, but not many where I walked. I might have missed some of it, but it is getting late now, so I can't sort of traipse around and search for everything. But hopefully the museum gives you an idea, and some of the footage I've shown of what the area's like, because a lot of the buildings you see are effectively converted caves where exteriors have been built, so they're not always immediately obvious as caves. So yeah, that kind of thing still exists. They've just modernised it to a point. But anyway, off to the Abbey, and let's see what that brings. Sunburn, I expect. Okay, so this is the Abbey. I know absolutely nothing about it. I don't know when it was built, I don't know what it was for, I don't know anything at all. So we're going to have a look round, and you'll probably get a nice fancy voiceover for this one, because I have no idea what to say about it right now. Hopefully I'll be informed when I leave.
Cue not so fancy voiceover. Sacromonte Abbey was constructed in the 17th century, allegedly on the site where the remains of a saint were found, leading to pilgrimages from all over. It was also the location where artefacts known as the lead books were discovered, pieces of lead with ancient Arabic etched into them. The history and authenticity of these have been debated for centuries, but you can find them in the museum here. Whatever the case, at again €5 entry, this is another one well worth your time and the trek up the hill if you walked. It's chock full of beautiful architecture, religious artwork, numerous intricate and impressive sculptures, and an underground section known as the Holy Caves. Like the Cave Museum, it's usually quieter than most of Granada's attractions, and there's also a handy free app you can download at the entrance that gives you information on every room in the Abbey.
Okay, so that was the Abbey done. I feel like I know a little bit more now. I've actually been around. That was €5 as well. So again, I would say that was worth it because it's quite a big building. There is a lot to see, and caves are actually part of the Abbey as well. So although you tour the main Abbey, and there's lots to see in there, lots of information. There's a little online app that you download for free at the reception, and it just tells you what each room is, which is perfect. There's also caves at the back. They're called the Holy Caves, and you follow a series of tunnels, and there's all sorts of altars and kind of shrines and things like that set about, which is really interesting to look at. The artwork is amazing, and it will tell you the history of it all as well, which is great. So it's strongly connected to this area with the caves that we were looking at earlier, because the Abbey itself, which was built in the 1600s, I think, effectively helped to look after a lot of the people that were kind of forced into exile up into these hills and to live in the caves. So they are strongly linked, and the religious aspect is obviously a close one as well. One thing, shame about the Alhambra, obviously we didn't get tickets, and for the amount of time we spent in Granada, that is a massive shame. But you know, there's loads of videos out there on that. Well, there'll be loads of videos on this, of course. YouTube's not exactly some obscure platform, is it? But I would say this has been worth it, and it's nice to visit one of the lesser known locations in Granada, I suppose, lesser known tourist places. So although lots of people do come here, it's not as obviously visited as some of the other stuff, including the Alhambra. So, you know, it's well worth a visit. So I'm going to stop rambling, get back to the hotel, which is quite a trek, and that's it. That's Granada. Stroke of luck, a bus came along, so I thought I'd just get a bus. I was running late anyway, so it makes a lot of sense. Oh, what a relief. But it only takes me halfway, to be fair.
So I headed back to the hotel for what would be our last night in Granada, as we nervously waited to see if our little home would be repaired and ready to take us on the road again. Join us as we learn our fate in the next episode. If you enjoyed the video, give it a like, hit that subscribe button to come along on more adventures, and ding the notification bell so you don't miss an episode. Thanks for watching, and see you on the next one.